All right, welcome back, everybody. It's 11:39. We extended for 34 minutes. No decisions were made while in executive session. So we are back to miscellaneous items. Any miscellaneous items?
I guess I'll start out. Last Thursday, I started to hear about the council of governments meeting for this Friday, one that it was scheduled for Friday, and two that an agenda was already being generated, and nobody asked me what my opinion was. I've been in here, this will be my 12th year, and we've been doing council of governments for 10 years. And I've never had anybody do a council of governments without including the full board. It's a board activity, it's a regional activity, and yet I've been asked to provide no input at all on what's going to happen this Friday. Thursday, Treasury finally put out their final guidance, and yet we're going to be put in front of community leaders this Friday with an expectation of we're going to have made some decisions or some opinions or whatever. And I'm clearly not prepared to do that. But I'm also, more than that, not happy that I'm being put in this position and stuff. And so a lot better today than I was on Friday. But what I did over the weekend is I'm offering up a change in the resolution that gives clarity and direction what the duties and responsibilities are for the chair of the board. And this specifically adds to the category regional meetings. A regional meeting is any meeting that involves municipalities or stakeholders for more than one district, two or more. Looking at this from the standpoint of not only providing clarity today, but also as we go into next year, there are a number of things that are going to change in terms of what the county does and how we do our business. For instance, the chair of the board, we've historically just rotated that between the districts. And when you look at the paragraph 10101, election powers and duties of the chair and vice chair, I've said that the chair and the vice chair shall be elected by a simple majority vote of the board of members, and gotten rid of any reference to rotation. Because if we have 5 commissioners and you rotate on an annual basis, then you leave a commissioner without the ability to be chair during their term in office and stuff. And so that will have to be changed to where we operate similar to what the city of the Valley does and elects a chair every year out of a general membership. And it might be the same person in multiple years or a different person in each year. But then also I added a definition of a regional meeting. A regional meeting would be a meeting that included, like I said, more than one district, municipality for more than one district. Then you can see on the second page, I define what a regional meeting is. Regional meeting shall be defined as a meeting of the board or a representation of more than one municipality from more than one county commissioner district, or a meeting or gather or distribute information on matters of county business to from stakeholders or the general public. This is to include such meetings as the council of governments and other similar meetings or events. These meetings shall be conducted by the board or other designee as determined by the board. Then when it talks about setting the agenda and 1.01.03 agendas, paragraph 3, agendas for regional meetings shall be prepared and approved by the board. And that the clerk will be responsible for distributing the agenda. I don't like, as I've mentioned before, I don't like the idea of surprises. And I clearly have been surprised by what's going on this Friday and put in a difficult position with regard to community. We had put the responsibility of how we were going to spend the ARPA money with Jeff McMorris to coordinate that process. And yet here we are going out on the Council of Governments, and I've had absolutely zero input into what's going to happen this Friday. And I am not pleased by that. So I'm offering this up for consideration as a way to provide clarity about the regional governments or Council of Governments. This is not District 2's Council of Governments. It's always been conducted by the board, by the full board, setting the agenda, participation, everything else. And this one here is totally without any involvement from me. I don't know whether you've been involved in it or not, but I have not.
Not
And-
with planning.
And so just really not happy about where we're at. So offer that up for consideration, providing clarity so we don't end up in this situation again.
I would say you'll want to strike the line then in the elections that says the chairmanship of the board or county commissioner shall normally rotate among board, right? You added an additional line, but you want to take that, I assume you want that line out?
Well,
It says
it can rotate from commissioner to committee, but it won't rotate by district. It just means that more than one commissioner can serve 1 year, a different commissioner can serve the next year, different one can serve the following year. But if you
Okay,
want to strike that, I'm fine with that.
or just tweak that to make it, I think it's simpler just to say the chair and vice chair shall be elected by a simple majority. So
I'm fine with
if you
that.
have if you have the sentence before it, regular scheduled meeting in January of each year, elect a chair, vice chair is elected by a simple majority. I think that middle sentence just muddies it up
Okay,
to where someone will say, well, it has to rotate now.
I'm fine.
So I just think it makes it more clear.
Okay.
So would you like me to speak to this?
Well, I want us to, if we're talking regional meetings, something that just went through my mind is, say if we have, say if one of us meets with city of the, like mayor of the valley, mayor of Liberty Lake, and mayor of Millwood, because we're talking about the bill that Patton's running about the wastewater. So would we then have to come to the full board in order to set up a meeting
But
with those 4 people to meet with?
We've already dealt with that as a board. We've collectively said, here's what we're going to do to fight that. And all those conversations have happened with all 3 of us as party to those conversations.
Okay,
So you're really just talking about this specific case. I mean, I don't think that we want to put regional meetings that in the future, no one can have a regional meeting. Because, I mean, with districts and all of that, it's going to be interesting. I'm sorry, on the COG, I thought, there was a point where we talked about that the business community was asking for people to come together and have a discussion. And I said, we'll do the COG to do that. We are not asked to make any decisions. There's no expectation that we've made any decisions. We're stating that we have not made any decisions. We're going to state the results of the survey and take input from the community. That is all this is. It is not us saying we're gonna agree to anything or any of that. This is only a way for the community to have a conversation, which is why I stated it as that on ARP. I apologize that it went out as under just me because the intent is it's the county that is doing this. So
I was disappointed. It's scheduled right over the top of the NEPDA, which is a monthly recurring, it's a PDA meeting, and it's right over the top of it.
I
Did
apologize.
we
'cause
look
I
at
was-
calendars?
I thought we've looked at calendars. I knew we're trying to do it, when Friday mornings usually are the best time for people. And so that's why I was trying to do it on a Friday morning, which is when we've done it before. It has always been the Friday morning of the fair. So that's what I've done. And when I've done in the past, the agenda wasn't necessarily in front of everybody. I think I asked you to speak on economic development the one year. So it was not always came before us as the agenda. I knew if we didn't do it on the 14th, and Jeff and, we were talking about it. If we didn't do it on the 14th, then the next weekend, there's a mayor's meeting out of town. The following Friday, Al was going to be at Crab. So, and the next Friday was going to be Wasack. So it was like, if we're going to do it, we just need to do it because we've had the business community, asking us to try to have this conversation. And so that's what I was doing. I was no ill intent on my part. I'm not trying to not have anybody be part of it. I'm trying to speak as less as possible, which is why having Jerry come in to facilitate kind of the table discussions after people talk about what they're doing in their communities, which we've made no decision for the county. So we're not making, we're not stating that we've made any decisions.
So what's on the agenda then?
So the agenda is, Jeff has helped me put together, he's worked to put together a PowerPoint just to kind of talk on ARP. Happy to get that to you guys. I just got it this weekend, so we haven't coordinated because I want to add one more slide that just shows here's what CARES were versus what ARP. There's this misconception in the community that we're getting all the money. It's not us. So we're trying to show here's what the county's getting, here's what the municipalities are getting. They have their own ability. If we're going to try to do something regionally, that the cities have to participate, we would have to participate, and none of us have agreed to any of that. But that's kind of the expectation that the businesses are wanting, that there's been some discussion. So that's all I'm trying to do. I've got so I'll do a PowerPoint to start on ARP. Then we have Lisa Brown is coming to speak from Commerce as to where can we go so we don't miss these monies that are coming into the communities, because I've got legislators, you saw Marcus Riccelli on their legislative call saying, money's not coming into this community that other communities are getting. It's like, we don't even know all these things. So how do we find those things out?
Look, and he was a little off point in those remarks. If you look at who actually received the money, I think it was that they were nonprofits, they were housing entities, they were not municipalities that were getting those money. So where he says like the city of Spokane and Spokane County missed out on money, it's like, no, organizations and nonprofits within our community didn't apply for those dollars. Those were not dollars that were primarily going to actual governments. So he was wrong in his sort of chastising us, trying to place the blame with us. And it's like, no, the nonprofits didn't go out and seek those money. It wasn't governments that were going out and getting those dollars. I think there was one. It was either King County or Seattle was the only municipality in the entire state that got it. Everybody else, it was nonprofits that are located in jurisdiction. So, when we see, people like Sean Vestal that want to say, well, Vancouver got money. No, Vancouver didn't get money. Nonprofits within the city of Vancouver applied and got money. So it's a little twisting of what actually happened is my understanding.
Could be. So anyways, so we wanted someone from Department of Commerce to speak as to what they think is going to be coming down into the community, where all the municipalities, is there a repository where people can go to see where these funds are and what's going to be coming, and they can ask the questions. And so Director Brown is coming, and then it's just like we normally do, the 3-minute. Okay, each mayor, what are you doing? And if the mayor can't be there, then as a council member, in your communities, what have you guys done so far? Because some of the communities have already allocated some of those funds, others haven't. And then it's going to be a table discussion, which again, Jerry Gimmel is coming and he's going to facilitate, because I'm trying to stay out of it as much as possible. So it is a community conversation. The business community will have, I think Marty Dickinson is going to speak on behalf of the letter that was sent to us as part of the business community, so she can say what their thoughts are on it. And then we have the table discussion and come up with just what are some of the regional ideas. No commitment to any of them. We'll just keep a list of them, just like doing a community survey. And then if we choose to get together as next steps in another 3 months or 2 months, so be it, or we don't. That's all it is. There's no decisions that are being made on our part.
Have you seen the notice that GSI put out advising all the businesses to show up at the Council of Governments meeting and provide their input?
I was told they were just sending it out to their executive committee.
Now to a broader audience.
Because we're trying to keep the numbers down for COVID purposes, because I don't want to cancel it for COVID. So certainly asking, and we're just doing coffee service. We're not providing any food. So that way people can leave their masks on. We're doing 6 per table is what we've got scheduled. If public shows up, we'll have chairs around the edge.
We're in what? Is this at the fairgrounds?
No, it's at Center Place. So it's a bigger room.
Okay.
So
Paying for Center Place?
we are not paying for Center
Fairgrounds is
Place.
free.
Yes, no, we're not paying for Center Place.
Did they waive the fee for us?
Yes,
They did, okay.
but we do have to pay for the coffee because it's their catering service that does the coffee.
Alright.
So I guess I'm not really interested in this until we move forward as we look to next year. Because I think having a regional meeting, then every time I go to the regional group with Nadine and Benwick on the homeless, then that would be considered a regional meeting. And I don't think that's our intent. I think you're just upset with me for this. And we can certainly have the Council of Governments be one of the things on the list that need to be coordinated.
Well, I think the Council of Governments should be something that is discussed as a board before it's scheduled, and then a conversation about the agenda. I mean, when we go to 5, unfortunately, partisanship is going to be more of an issue than it is today. I mean, that's just a fact.
There's
And
gonna be a
if
lot of things
somebody
that we have
wants to
change.
go, all of us who maybe is in the minority party decides, I'm going to stand up a Council of Government to talk about X, Y, and Z. And the rest of us say, no, you're not. If we don't have something in place that kind of puts some sideboards about, because that is a Spokane County event. That is a Spokane County driven meeting. And we need to make sure that it is what the majority of the board supports, that is being, for the purpose and essentially what's being presented there too.
Correct. No, I would agree. The Council of Governments, we're gonna have, I would say that's gonna have to change, and how we vote in the chair will need to change, because, as we go to 5 commissioners, I just don't think that we need to do that today.
Well, I had the resolution in front of me and I thought I'd try and start cleaning up the process for what we'd have to do for next year. I mean, we're going to be involved in this all this year, changing a lot of things that we've been doing historically are going to change. I'd rather change it with this board than whatever it's going to exist after January 1.
I haven't looked over this since we adopted it.
No, I didn't distribute it to anybody. I did it over the weekend, so I know that this is new to you guys and stuff, so, but it's a lot different than what I would have done on Friday, because I was.
No, I'd like to look at it because I may have additional
That's fine.
changes I want to add to it, because that is something that we are going to need to address. I mean, there's lots of procedural things that we need to make sure we have in order this year as we move forward. So.
Yeah, there definitely are, and I apologize. I thought we had, I don't know, we had not had any in-depth conversations, but we did have the conversation that we were going to call the Council of Governments, so we could talk about the business letter. I do know we did, because you raised it now.
We did talk about that, and I found out that the date had been set on Thursday, and that agenda had been set, and I had no knowledge of that. Don't like surprises. Don't like surprises. So, well, I can email this to you guys as well as Mark McLean and Scott. And you guys can chew it up and see what you want to do, but I think I've made my point, so leave it at that.
No, and I mean, I guess I would say, so when we do the State of the County address, I mean, does that need to be gone through the board? Because that hasn't been going through the board.
What do you mean it hasn't been going through the board?
Well, before yours was canceled, we hadn't seen it. Josh, I hadn't seen Josh's. So
3 years ago, I was kind of required to turn my script over. I never saw yours before you did yours, but I think I'm the only one who's ever distributed his
I think
script to the
so.
board, so.
I think so. So I mean, I think there's just gonna be a lot of things that we need to look to and as we move forward with 5 commissioners. And I think probably sharing calendars this year would be a good way to show people that there is no surprises. And if you're not or if you don't want that to happen, then, I mean, that's where it's, you know, we tried, I think last year, and I tried my year, you know, to share calendars and stuff so we could be, you know, keeping each other abreast as to what's happening.
We can go through, I mean, it's just that there didn't seem to be much surprises, or, I mean, it seemed to just more be an exercise and waste of time, honestly. I thought going through the calendars, but if we want to go through day by day, we can do that. I mean, I don't care. I'm fine with it.
And
When we stopped doing it, nobody told me they wanted to start it back up, so we could have this last year, but.
I think there's a certain amount of, you know, discussing what's happening in each of the committees that we're attending, that we're not informing the others, and especially as we go to 5,
I think we'll need to do
we're
it.
gonna
now.
need to do that.
I think we should
Because
share, kind of like what the Valley does at their council. They each have an opportunity to share. Okay,
there's-
this last week I was on this committee. Here's what we discussed. I think that could be of value when we go to 5.
you know, especially like LSC, I don't know if you attended on Friday, the LSC committee for Wasac,
No, I did not.
because I was not able to get on it either. Because I do know that there's, you know, we need to stay abreast as to what's, you know, happening for Wasac versus what our agenda is too. So I think we're gonna need to, you know, those are things definitely as we move to 5. We've been pretty independent and isolated here last year.
I had also spoken with some folks last week. Can we make sure if only one of us is going to attend a meeting, only one of us RSVP to it? Because if there are 2 people that RSVP to a meeting, that makes it public, and some of these meetings
Don't want
need
to
to
be
be
public.
public.
Which meeting?
There's the Congressional Advisory Committee last week.
Oh, I did not attend.
You were RSVP to it. I
You were
guess.
SVP
So
to it.
that made
And
it
it made it a
public.
public meeting, and Kathy was not pleased because it allowed the reporter to be in the meeting. I was there and stuff, and so she made that announcement at the very beginning of the meeting because Colin was sitting at the end of the table, and she was surprised that she had press in the room.
Oh, then Brendan and I did not coordinate on that because I did not attend and did not plan to attend that meeting.
Yeah.
I had another scheduled appointment. Okay.
Good.
I will call the Congresswoman and let her know that I apologize for that.
Any other miscellaneous items? Scott, Jared,
Nothing for me.
Jeff, anything?
Not this time.
I'm good, thanks.
Scott, 2 of the commissioners have said they haven't seen a plow truck since they were little kids. Can you give us an update of where we're at on the countywide plow?
I saw some of those emails bouncing around, so I'm gonna be connecting with Chad and find out. We do have our county plow map that's updated regularly, but we need to get our arms around what the current status is and where we're going next and all that good stuff. So we'll get something back to you all today.
Yeah, I spoke with Chad, this was before we had our last big dumping. But that county plow map resets every 24 hours. So it is wiped clean every 24 hours. I think that would make more sense if we did maybe 72 hours. So I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at it, all you're seeing is what's been plowed that day. You have no idea, well, what did we hit yesterday? What did we hit the day before? So I think having that map stay with the markers of what's been hit longer than 24 hours would be a benefit.
I agree, especially as you think about storms that come in and it takes a while, it takes multiple days to get through. I didn't realize it had gotten updated or revised every 24 hours to clear it out.
I learned that last week. I didn't know it got wiped clean every 24 hours either.
And that may be something with the GPS software that we use, but we'll look in and see. I agree with you. It needs to stay on there for at least 72 hours, if not even longer.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get back to you and give you an update.
So question for you, Scott.
Sure.
With the reorganization, with public works, environmental services and stuff, is Chad still the county engineer? Or has his title changed? And if he's not the county engineer and Matt is, have we provided that update to CRAB yet?
So to answer your question, you're correct. Matt is the new county engineer that was appointed by the board right at the early part of December. Chad's the public works senior director. And I will verify with Chad that they have given that communication to CRAB for that.
Because I have not seen anything from CRAB acknowledging, and we're going to have our meeting next week, I think. But we do have, by statute, there's a time window where we have to notify CRAB of any change of county engineer status.
Okay, we'll get that also wrapped up today.
All right. Any other miscellaneous items? Okay, well then it is 12:07 and we are adjourned for the day.